Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm your host, CHIKAN. For people who don't know much about us and the case we are working on, we, the Seekers, are a coalition of private investigators around the globe working on unheard cases of organized crime activity. As you may remember from the first episode, we've revealed plenty of important information about the ongoing case of Noctis Zhang. We promised you guys in another detailed expose, but we have a good news for you. We've came back with 2 videos jam-packed with new mind-blowing information. So stay focused, Truth Seekers. October 3rd. It was a busy day following the release of the first investigation video about Noctis Zhang. We expected all kinds of reactions. Hate from Noct's fans, support from his adversaries, and confusion from the clueless. What we didn't expect was the emergence of a new character. Amidst all the heat after the release of our video, an interesting individual reached out to us and opened a new way for us to uncover the truth about everything that happened behind the veils. That individual was none other than Tyrios Lee, aka Shang-Hyun Lee. A 25 years old South Korean man, the former guitarist of the band The Versus. Lee was one of the first original members of The Versus and one of the key figures in the story. After the disbandment of The Versus, as one can see through Lee's Bilibili and Weibo, he and some other accounts associated with him started posting rumors about Zhang, accusing Zhang of being a rapist and a human trafficker. Without receiving any response from Zhang, these accounts stood active up until the release of the BBC documentary that was the last nail in Noctis' coffin and caused a cool down in the activity of Lee and the supposed photographer, who had been closely collaborating with him. After the sudden release of Muradu's interview and the audience's exposure to the photographer's character, apparently Lee reached out to Mura, and since they knew each other before, Mura tried to give him a chance to clarify the situation in an interview, but from what we found out, Lee allegedly stopped responding to Mura a week before the date of the interview. Fast forward to October 3rd, Lee reached out to us and promised us reliable evidences against Noctis. We gladly accepted to collaborate with him as we saw his efforts to expose Noctis way before the BBC documentary. We thought, who could expose Noctis better than his former bandmate? We also tried to consult him as we discovered he has no lawyer and was somewhat afraid of publicizing the evidence he had. But what happened next left us in awe. On October 5th, Lee and 2 anonymous accounts joined the Covenant Discord server and started wreaking havoc, arguing with the members, but what he did next truly shocked us. Lee released a bulk of the supposed evidences as the 2 anonymous accounts continued to harass the members of the Covenant Discord server. Although we do not promote or condone any sort of hacking and cyber attacks, for the sake of sorting out the situation and preventing further harassment, we first warned and then inevitably wiped the 2 anonymous accounts from the face of Discord. What Lee revealed was shocking to say the least. These documents not only did not have any solid or useful material to expose Noctis, but embarrassingly exposed Lee himself for not just us Seekers, but for all the members to witness. These pieces of evidence were comprised of 4 very short video clips and more that we are going to analyze shortly. The first clip shows a person with trousers similar to Noctis sitting on a subway train seat being recorded by an individual right next to him. The way this video was recorded makes it seem like it was recorded in third person rather than first person, failing to prove that Zhang himself is recording the video. The second footage shows a model in what appears to be a photo shoot, and the model is clearly aware of being recorded. The other footages, though giving off an eerie feeling, contain no CHIKAN or any solid material against Noctis. The other point worth mentioning is that all these videos come from an unverified WeChat account that is supposedly Noctis's. But as we checked Zhang's WeChat account, it was verified 6 years ago, thus rendering these videos unreliable. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say these videos may be coming from his fake account. But he raises a question. How and why were you present in a group chat dedicated to sharing CHIKAN, Mr. Lee? This is extremely suspicious. What happened next was a major turning point for us. Lee mistakenly sent and immediately deleted a video in which Zhang was trying to expose the photographer and quote-unquote the operators of the websites. This video clip confirmed that we were mistaken about a couple of subjects I'll explain later in the video. After witnessing all the videos and the chaos in the server, and when I tried to console him to stop, Mr. Lee crossed a line by disrespecting the Seekers and other members of the server multiple times, leaving us no option but to sever ties with him and use tactics that, as I said before, we do not condone. Upon using these tactics, we retrieved pieces of evidence, ones we never expected to find, and without the slightest bit of hesitation, we'll share stuff that can only be referred to as mind-shattering. Mr. Lee stated many times in the server that they never intended to steal Zhang's property and they just had a dispute over loaned money. But we unmasked him and his affiliates for everyone to see by sending a shocking footage of them breaking into Zhang's property and stealing his belongings, caught in 4K.
喂，你干嘛？你别动我东西，别动我东西！
别过来，把他拉走！
我他妈拍着你的，拍着你的！
你拍我！
In this footage, the voice of Lee and an individual later identified to be the photographer can also be heard. We then found an audio file that documented a conversation between the photographer and Lee. The contents of this audio file truly changed our view of the situation. Though Lee promised us with the truth, in this short but important audio file, an individual with recognizable voice, the photographer, is having a discussion with Lee on creating fake screenshots and videos to expose and destroy Noctis.
你也知道啊，
很不解，我搞他办法多的是。公众人物最好搞，而且还没起来的公众人物。
We also came across truly sickening clips of Lee playing with a sex doll while joking about raping Japanese women. We cannot show the footage for obvious reasons, but you guys can see how depraved a man can be if you search for the video clip in the Covenant's Discord server, though the admins of the server may have deleted it by now, rightfully so. Though it's a shame for us to work with a disgusting individual like Lee, he certainly helped us identify a creep by exposing his true face, but something felt off. That strange and aggressive tone was unexpected from him, and with releasing problematic evidence that unmasked him rather than Noctis, we were sure he was being controlled and manipulated by the photographer. Now, we're gonna do what we promised. so bear with me as I unmask one of the most mysterious players in this game. The photographer, aka Zhao Jishin, 25 years old man from Chongqing, China. Although the evidence shows that he had been working with the website as far back as July 2021, he entered Japan in October to study digital animation and got affiliated with Noctis Zhang and the members of the Verses, and after accompanying the band in tours and shows, he unofficially became a member in December. His vast wealth, possession of a second Chinese passport despite its highly illegal status and problematic background makes it clear that he isn't an ordinary subject. In February 2022, Zhao and Maomi helped with housing the band members and hiring them for various online services later found to be the infamous CHIKAN websites, which he openly admits to on his Weibo account. Then the band members discovered the truth behind the websites and inner conflict began. Around that time, anonymous accounts began spreading rumors about Noctis on social media. Two of those accounts were significant. The first one's username, Uncle Cola, is a name we found to be the internet alias name of Zhao, appearing to be his Billy username. The other was found to be an account belonging to Zhao's girlfriend. Zhao, or Uncle Cola, was among the first to react to Zhang's interview, and with the release of Muradu's latest interview, Zhao unmasked himself for the first time and appeared in Terios' video. In Terios' video, Zhao takes the lead with unconfirmed allegations, while Lee nervously validates his each and every claim. After Terios' meltdown in the server and our sudden and inevitable use of unrecommended evidence-gathering tactics, the truth was unveiled. Before we begin to expose Jishin, it's worth pointing out that in the first episode, we discovered the corrupt organization behind the veils through our own ways of obtaining information. Also in Muradu's latest interview, the supposed anti-CCP organization is mentioned frequently, and with the rage-fueled reaction it received from Lee and Jishin, its validity increased for us. So with that being said, we are going to reference Aaron's information in our documents. So with that out of the way, let's get to the business. Mr. Jishin, with this identity background and passports, was allegedly hired by Maomi, a character who deserves and is going to have his own dedicated expose soon. He was hired by Maomi and the organization to assist with the operation and promotion of porn websites with CHIKAN, rape, BDSM, femdom, male slavery and other sexual degeneracies as their primary content. But his role wasn't limited to this, as he was the one to introduce and hire new members for the organization. From what we gathered from Japanese fans of the Verses, apparently, he took the advantage of multiple female fans to create content for the websites, and to satiate his own lust. And after a while, Zhang, who was tired of Jishin's disgusting behavior, found about his website business and background indirectly through Maomi, and started to take actions against him and trying to kick him out of the band completely. Jishin saw his identity and position of control over the band in danger, as he lost his complete control over Zhang and could have let the truth be exposed. So he began fighting back by trying to manipulate other members of the band, but fails to do so. Noctis Zhang, who at the time resided in a property with him, started to expose Zhao with the evidence and information he gathered. But unfortunately, every time he tried to do so, his Bilibili accounts were immediately terminated as if a professional cybersecurity effort is set to silence him. Soon enough, they ended parting ways and living apart, and then in the end year, Zhao finally succeeded in manipulating Li. But how, you may ask? Noctis Zhang had plans for an upcoming project with a guitarist named Lin. Terios, unlike his former bandmate who had a fairly stable life at the time, wasn't exactly caught in an unfavorable financial situation in Japan. He fell. Jashin had an eye on the situation for a long time and had plans for destroying Noctis. He saw this as an opportunity to use Li's dissatisfaction to manipulate and brainwash him against his soon-to-be former colleague. Maomi and Zhao promised him money in the accounting job Noctis previously held in exchange for complete elimination of Zhang from the team in the music scene. After brainwashing Li entered Maomi's property, who orchestrated the whole fiasco and stole everything belonging to Zhang. The first reason for this operation was likely that Noctis' laptop contained all the evidence needed to expose the website scheme and could get Zhao and Maomi in serious trouble. The second being that Terios, who had access to Zhang's passwords, could easily use the laptop to create fake evidence against him. Who knows? Maybe the videos he shared were created through this exact method I explained. Also, among the stolen properties was Zhang's expensive set of clothing that was sold for cheaper in these websites. In the meantime, Noctis tried his best to expose Jashin and others but failed when all his videos got taken down and replaced with articles that also got taken down. Shortly after these events, Noctis, who lost his best friend and was left isolated and defenseless with nothing but Lin's project, solitarily moves to Saitama to work on links with the help of Lin. Around this time, Zhao and Maomi started to communicate with an individual named Lana, who we shockingly identified to be none other than Zhao and Fang. After giving her all the information they wanted to publicize, Zhao stopped his activities on Bilibili. With the BBC video being released, Zhao and Maomi finally fulfilled their goals and Noctis was once again left with nothing as all the fuss turned Lin away from him. But he didn't stop there as he got in contact with a mysterious individual and fellow VK musician, Muradus. And after his interview, his adversaries, Zhao and Terios, were provoked again to start spreading rumors about them on social media. But their reactions peaked after our mysterious subject, Mura, interviewed a more cryptic person named Aaron. All we know about this individual is that he exposed Noctis, Zhao, and Maomi in Chinese forums way before the BBC video. This individual flew from China to Japan and shot the interview on top of a building in downtown Tokyo. And in the video, this person, who is not fluent in Japanese or English, begins to reveal extremely interesting and quite accurate information in Chinese. More than half of what Aaron revealed in the interview have been confirmed by the Seekers members, and we'll notify you truth seekers about the other half as we gather solid evidence along the way. The situation escalated into such a serious condition that Zhao finally unmasked himself after years and appeared in a video alongside Li, validating the identity and the evidence evidence we had of his passports. The great mistake Lee made was not hiring a proper lawyer and not being careful, and in the end, he and CHIKAN will face the consequences of their actions, as justice is always blind. October 10th was the court date of Zhang against CHIKAN, who was trying his best to find a lawyer and make it out of the case unfazed, but on October 12th, the court voted against Mr. CHIKAN and he has to find a lawyer soon to sort out the situation. But looking back at what he did without a lawyer, it's safe to say Zhao is at the end of the line and we are gladly waiting to see his fate. With all that being said, the case of Lee and Zhao is completely closed now. And now, a quick talk with Noctis. In the last episodes, we told you that we know that you are aware of the identity of these subjects and are cooperating with them, and even in the Deuce's interview, Aaron made it clear that you are in fact aware of their identities. Our problem with you rose as we thought you were protecting their identities and getting paid by them, but it's now clear that we were wrong. Zhang Xinya, correct it if it's wrong, but you tried to expose these people and their business. After getting silenced and banned from Bilibili hundreds of times, getting your stuff stolen, you didn't learn, and your foolishness was what cost you everything you had. But now, we just realized that your reason for being silent was your court case, but you at least could have informed us about it, and nevertheless, we understand and we hope to see you succeed in the legal case. I said it before, but I'm gonna say it again, Zhang. You were guilty of extreme irresponsibility, and we believe that you've paid enough. We don't hold any grudge or ill will, but we advise you to be more careful in the future, Zhang. But before wrapping up this episode, we want to discuss some stuff with Mr. Lee. Tyrios, sadly, you've dug your own grave. Maybe if you consulted with a lawyer, or at least the 3 lawyers from the Seekers that I wanted to connect you to, with all the fake evidence you had, your charges could have been drastically softer as your opposition had a far cleaner background than you. We are certain that you are screwed and there is nobody for you to blame except yourself, Mr. Lee. You were immature enough to let a scum like Zhao manipulate and use you. Unfortunately, you should pay the price. But someone who's far more worthy of paying the price for the filthy stuff you did is Zhao. Zhao, you're officially finished. You're in a case with absolute zero chance of making it out unfazed. It's interesting to see how you think you can get away with what you did with a cheap project lawyer like yours. You ruined the life of an innocent person like Tyrios. You turned him into this depraved leech of a person. You ruined the life of people like Noctis who had to pay the price for stuff they could never even imagine. You ruined the lives of clueless people like Lynn and Lupus, who got dragged into filthy subjects that was none of their business. You, Zhao, you and Naomi and any other piece of scum involved shall and will be punished for what you did and shall pay the price for every life you destroyed. Thank you guys for watching this episode of The Truth. Please consider sharing this video and spreading awareness, as it is the only way to help us. See you again in the next episodes, Truth Seekers. Godspeed.